Greetings and welcome to Arcana Analysis, where we invite you into the Velvet Room to unlock the secrets of the Arcanum and the bonds they encompass. On this special episode of Arcana Analysis, we'll be exploring the Fool. The Fool is numbered either 0 or 22, indicating its simultaneous existence at the very beginning and the very end of the deck. The cyclical nature of this card allows it to embody a journey from conception through completion, tying each together in a never-ending chain. Though the Fool holds the quest itself, in readings it is most commonly associated with new beginnings. The Fool is an optimistic card, often telling the reader that they have many choices before them, and they are ultimately in control of their own destiny. Outcomes depend on their actions, first and foremost. The Fool is not stupid, rather they are often read as pure and trusting, not yet jaded by the world around them, but perhaps not wizened to it either. This free-spirited and accepting outlook on life allows the Fool to act as a natural protagonist, with a great deal of potential to grow and change. While often rewarded for their adventurousness and open minds, fools are not immune to the evils of the world. A fool who is too careless is bound to find themselves caught in unsavory situations. Many paths lie before them, but not all of these paths are wise choices. In the Persona series, the Fool Arcana is always held by a protagonist character embarking on a new adventure. Each protagonist is unique, but the main title fools we see within the series tend to share some common traits. While the most common iteration of the Fool is a blank slate character with very little pre-established personality, it is not impossible for a more fully realized character to embody this arcana. Twice within the series, we see characters previously aligned under other arcana or separate from the deck entirely take up the title of Fool when they begin their own personal journeys. In these cases, the characters will share some traits with the main embodiment of the Fool, while not manifesting others.
The three main protagonists of the series are present within Persona 3, 4, and 5. Each is a carrier of the Fool Arcana, and despite major thematic differences within their respective games, each Fool's journey is ultimately the same. Their adventure begins with the protagonist being relocated. In Persona 3, the protagonist moves to Iwatodai Dorm, in Persona 4, the protagonist moves to the small town Rinaba, and in Persona 5, the protagonist moves to Tokyo. Each of these moves serves to set the stage for the Fool, allowing them a clean slate for the journey to come. Alongside the change in scenery, each Fool is thrust into the world of the supernatural not long after they first arrive. Through events beyond their control, the lives of our protagonists are made more interesting and, in turn, more chaotic. Persona 3's protagonist is drafted into SEAS after performing remarkably well in the first full moon mission, a mission he accidentally became a part of in an effort to protect the dorm from shadows. Persona 4's protagonist discovers the mysterious Midnight Channel, a world where suppressed emotions manifest in the form of shadows. Persona 5's protagonist similarly stumbles upon the Metaverse, a world where the corrupted hearts of vile individuals may be stolen by phantom thieves. While each Fool proves capable in the face of supernatural adversity, there must always be an initial leap of faith into the world of the unknown. No one Fool acts alone, however. They are consistently aided by Igor, an immeasurably powerful being who resides within the Velvet Room. There are very few individuals who are privy to the Velvet Room's existence, but aside from Igor and the various assistants he enlists, the Fool is a mainstay. Not only must the Fool trust Igor to guide them on their journey, but in order to gain more strength in the form of powerful personas, the Fool must be willing to trust others as well. As they meet new individuals and forge new friendships, the protagonist will gain the ability to wield devastating new personas, a testament to the bonds they have forged. Not every bond is unbreakable, however. The naivety of the Fool, trusting all those that they meet, consistently leads to betrayal. In each entry to the series, to varying degrees, the Fool is betrayed by someone they had initially trusted. This betrayal is indicative of the reversed Fool, which suggests that instead of bold and adventurous, the Fool's actions are reckless and spontaneous. No story would be complete without a proper ending, and the Fool's journey is no different. By the end of Persona 3, 4, and 5, the protagonist's adventure has reached a definitive end. While this conclusion may come in a variety of different forms, the end of one journey allows for the beginning of another. As long as there are those willing to take the leap and embrace adventure, then the perpetual cycle of the Fool will continue forevermore.
The role of the Fool is unique in Persona 3, as it does not belong to the male protagonist alone. With the release of the PSP version, a second iteration of the Fool was added, this time, a girl. She is not a perfect reflection of the previous protagonist, having a personality that is much brighter than the withdrawn hero of the original game. She even has a modicum of variation in who she forms bonds with, and her relationships with her social links. Nevertheless, her story ultimately follows the same path as her predecessor, with only slight variations setting the two apart. Thus, she embodies the Fool Arcana in a nearly identical way. She shares his powers and his fate, taking the same path as him, but traveling it in a different manner. Our next two Fools can be considered somewhat special cases. They are not game protagonists like the previous four, rather, they are ascended side characters that take up the reins in the wake of the Persona 3 protagonist's sacrifice. Aegis, the former Aeon and a member of Cease, and Elizabeth, the Velvet Room attendant of the deceased protagonist, bear this arcana in Persona 3 The Answer and Persona 4 Arena respectively. Both are compelled to act following the death of the hero, engaging in their own personal journeys and thus earning the title of the Fool in the process. This arcana is not restricted to a single sort of adventure, rather, any time one gathers the courage to embark on a meaningful quest, they may fill the role. Their emotions are heavily tied to their goals, each grieving the loss of this incredibly important figure in their lives, in their own way. They are challenged to grow and change by the end of their stories, and as such, they come to be aligned under the arcana of the Traveler. It should be noted that Aegis and Elizabeth share a very interesting trait. Neither is human, and both came to learn about the world through their interactions with the protagonist of Persona 3. When first brought into the world, they only resemble humans in form. Through their growing bonds with the people around them, they acclimate to the world and, in a sense, earn their humanity. Despite their former arcana, or lack thereof, this trait is incredibly indicative of the Fool, who is often read as a pure and new force in the world.
By now it should be more than clear that the role of the Fool is central to the Persona series. Every story centers around a Fool, thus it can be said that each is a Fool's journey. The systems present in the games themselves facilitate this. Let us return to some of the basic tenets of the Fool and compare them against the games. The Persona games are cyclical in a way, forming a linear but separated storyline. Each new protagonist marks the start and end of a game's era. Take, for example, how the protagonist of Persona 4 was the symbol of the series for so long before the reins were taken up by Joker, who is now known far and wide as the face of a successful franchise. Someday he too will be replaced to make room for the next game and the next era of Persona. The gameplay within the series lends itself to this idea as well. The player is encouraged to take leaps of faith when fusing new personas, at times having to abandon prior safe bets in order to create new personas that are far more powerful. Combining this with a strategy-oriented RPG battle system that rewards weighing options carefully over throwing oneself at the enemy creates a plethora of ways a player can go about attaining victories. Choices aren't limited only to battles, though. Half of any Persona game is centered around social interactions with the supporting cast, and who the player chooses to invest time in is entirely up to them. Though the games ultimately only have a few destinations, the path players take to get there shows incredible variety. This active participation in guiding the narrative, choosing how to battle, and even simply playing the game itself is how the series invites the player to become the final Fool. They are asked to inhabit the protagonist, taking on their life and leading them on their journey. The main characters become an extension of the self, a vessel to carry you, the player, through each game.
That concludes our examination of the Fool Arcana.
The Fool is an arcana unlike any other. It is a keystone, allowing the others to exist simply by partaking in the journey itself. It is a natural role that anyone can inhabit, so long as they are able to embrace the new and work to meet their ambitions.
The characters that embody the Fool Arcana are not empty. They are filled to the brim with potential and possibility, like the number 0. They may grow into anything, and their willingness to move forward, trust in others, and greater destinies will always guide them forward.
We deeply appreciate your continued attendance to our Velvet Room, and hope you've enjoyed your stay with us today. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. Until then, we bid you adieu.